Congratulations! You are at the right place at the right time to start your day with a lightning bolt of energy. Most news programming, morning talk shows, or other podcasts are not launching you into your day or accessing even a fraction of your greatness and potential. If you want more money in less time with more magic, and if you want to find what works to scale your sales and business with the actionable formula of formulas, then the Unblinded Huddle is the #1 way to start your day with an infusion of integrity-based human influence. With your host, Sean Callagy and the Unblinded team, and the entire Unblinded movement.
Hello, great rising. Welcome, Unblinded ecosystem. Hello to everyone who has been with us, and bienvenidos, and welcome to everyone that is new. Thank you, all of you, for being here with us at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time for the #1 place and the #1 way to start your day with a daily dose of integrity-based human influence. My name's Fernando, and it's Why Wednesday. It's Why Wednesday. So as we wait for Mr. Callagy to jump here, steer the ship, and drive us home, here's my question. Like, why are you here? Like, why did you wake up this morning? Why did you set your alarm? Why did you go to your phone or your laptop and press the Zoom link? Like, why are you here? I am very curious if anyone would like to share some thoughts on the chat. We'd love to recognize and acknowledge you on like why you're here. There's so many other places you can be every single morning, and you choose to be here with us. And I just want you to know that that is forever, we are forever grateful and honored to be able to have this space and create this space for all of you, for everyone in your ecosystem, as a place of community, as a place of energy, and of course, as a place to learn the formula, integrity-based human influence, also known as the Unblinded Results Formula. So I'm curious, like, why are you here? Why'd you wake up? And what does your day look like? Like, it's Why Wednesday. What a day to reflect, the middle of the week. It's a question I ask myself every single morning, and Why Wednesday just adds that little special zest of why. But it's a good question to ask yourself, whether it's daily, weekly, during your thinking time, or here in our morning huddles on Why Wednesday. Like, why are you here? Why are you doing what you're doing? Where are you in the world? Where are you focused on today? Why are you counting that? Why are you measuring that? Let's make that an action point for today, as Sean will drive our action point for the huddle, is like, why do we do the things we do? Like, why do we do the things we do? There's so many things to do, and we've chosen to be here on this beautiful formula together, build this movement, and there's just so many things happening. I know we have a Real Raw coming up today. We have our 3rd video of our Unblinded Business Accelerator. So Jared, would you like to add some color or share? There we go. If you'd like to chime in, what's happening today and who's going to be on our Real Raw?
Yeah, we have quite the Real Raw today. Two absolutely extraordinary entrepreneurs. This is going to be a fun one for sure because they have background in things within the space of sales and influence. The first person is Gene McNaughton. Gene has been a judge previously. He is the president of Growth Smart Consulting. He's a keynote speaker, business-to-business sales expert, and a best-selling author of a book called The Sales Edge. And he's been known for implementing a strategy for organizations ranging from $2 million a year to $2.5 billion a year. And he is going up against Mike Koenig. Mike helps experts build empires and personal brands. He's the host of the Capability Amplifier podcast. He's an entrepreneur and also an investor. He's a 13-time #1 best-selling author. He was awarded Marketer of the Year. He's a serial entrepreneur, angel investor, filmmaker, international speaker, and patent inventor. I know Mike personally. He is definitely going to bring some Zeus energy today. It should be a ton of fun between Gene McNaughton and Mike Koenig. The link to register has just been posted inside of Zoom. So click on the link, register to get all the details. Back to you, Fernando.
Awesome. Jared, thank you so much for the optics. If you can actually put the formula back on the screen, let's jump through some self-mastery. Let's go through it. I know usually here is not a place of fully teaching the formula. And as we wait, why not? Let's jump in. So if we can look at our screen and we can see the section all the way on the left, it's incredible how we actually talk about this the least here at Unblinded. And yet it's so critical because most of the time when people believe they have process mastery, suboptimality, I think I just made up that word, or they're lacking in their influence mastery, it really boils down to their self-mastery. And let's define self-mastery. Self-mastery is getting yourself to do the things you need to do. And now I know we have some crazy, ridiculous lunatics out here. The first person that comes to mind is like Jay Levine, and of course your father, Rich. Like Jay is like always on, always on. Even though I've had the blessing to see, his vulnerable emotional side, it's incredible that he's always on. So I see Sean is jumping in. Mr.
Yes.
Callagy, we were just chatting a little bit about self-mastery, and we were going to go in that direction. So
Yes.
please, with your very interesting green hoodie, is that like a skull and a pirate? What's up with you, man?
Yes, sir. So this is my surf sweatshirt. So thank you for seeing my pirate and surfing-ness. So how's everybody? My apologies for the delay. I was spending a little extra time with the incredible mastery students this morning going over some optics. So thank you. Welcome. Super appreciate everything that's happening that you're up to. And yeah, so self-mastery. Fernando, optics on where you've been, because I was literally jumping in there with the students in master. Actually, let me just start here, and then we'll get back to optics of where we are.
Sure.
So I'm late for the huddle. Apologies. I started working at 6 a.m. this morning. I've been on multiple calls with, I probably communicated with I've done a public speaking engagement, communicated with probably 6 other people directly, and that public speaking engagement took questions from at least 4 people. And it's like all of a sudden it's 8:30. And by 8:30, it's been 2.5 hours of that level of intensity, like making strategic decisions about the business, vertically innovating, figuring stuff out, like engaging, training, teaching. And for everybody out there, I wish this blessing for you. The thing I wish for you is that you could have 2.5 hours of your day and have had that many occurrences and interactions with human beings, to have slept for 4 hours and to feel grateful and to feel excited and to feel like time just passes, to lose track of days, to lose track of hours. And at one point in time in my life, I used to look at Sunday, right? And this is after I had began to make, to achieve some level of financial abundance. I used to look at Sunday as a day when I needed to be away from people. I had to prepare, quote unquote, prepare for the next week mentally and emotionally, because it was going to be so taxing, so draining, and so exhausting. And that week I would probably be working 35 hours. And now I amongst, many of you, and certainly the Unblinded team, are working, 70, 80 plus hours. And I've never felt more excited and less in need of downtime. So our self-mastery is so driven by our why and our purpose, for sure. We've heard that. I'm reinforcing that, like being connected to your, I got deeply connected to my why yesterday. And it's just like, there's just certainty. Like there's just certainty of actions, time, things being worth it when we're connected to our why. In addition, it's also looking at our rules, like our rules. So what is your rule for I'm working too hard? What is your rule for if somebody says no to me, what does it do? What is your rule for if somebody misportrays you, misunderstands you? That's a tough one for me. I don't like misportrayal. That really upsets me. And I get some self-mastery challenges there. But what is that for you? Because you're going to get misportrayed. You're going to get misunderstood. You're going to be, you're going to have people tell you that what you think doesn't make sense. Like that's a given. What are your rules about what that means? And let's explore that for a second. So And by the way, of course, it's Why Wednesday. So what does it mean to you when somebody says, that doesn't make sense, the accelerator? I don't know what you're talking about. Does that mean you have to doubt what you believe? Does that mean that you have to make them wrong? Does that mean that you have to put them down to feel better? Does that mean that you get excited and energized? Like, wow, they're just super confused. And I have to make sure they understand, because that might not be optimal either, right? So what would it be that you believe? Like, what do you do? And so a recommendation in that space would be simply to find your way to effective boundaries, effective time blocking follow-up processes, to hear the questions and the misunderstandings through the prism of how you can optimize your communication, right? It could be ideas of how people you work with could optimize, or we could optimize our communication. Is it egoless? Is it driven towards your why and your purpose on a higher vibration? Or is it driven more about you being right? So what are your rules around being right? Like, do you need to be right to be right? Do you need to be right to be in control? Or do you need to be right never, and you just want what's right? Like, there's a distinction between I need to be right and I want what's right, and I'm flexible in looking at what's right. Like, I'm inclusive with boundaries. I'm finding my way. And all of these questions are not, I mean, you could sit here, we could easily sit here and explore every one of these issues for like the next 1,000 years. So how do you cut through and tactically move through your day? Practically be in zone action. And so I always look at, what are the beliefs I need to have to function right now? And then what are the ones I bump into and get hooked? We don't hook others, but I can get hooked, right? So for me, I get hooked at times in the space of misportrayal. I also get hooked in the space of misunderstanding, because I love and care about people. So I could really want to spend some extra time in seeking understanding. Now, sometimes seeking understanding could be seeking approval of others, and I don't seek the approval of others. I seek truth. But I do seek, like, at times fall into a space of wanting to like rescue others. What's it for you? And as you become self-aware, so right, like the hierarchy of self-mastery, right? The hierarchy of self-mastery begins at the top with self-awareness. Like, that's where we begin. And when we become egoless in our self-awareness, it's critical. But let me differentiate between egoless, right, and pleasing. So pleasing means what I did when my dad, who I love to no end, but my dad drank way more than I was comfortable with as a kid. And so I would desire to avoid my dad getting upset. And in my desire to avoid my dad getting upset, I would attempt to please, like stay out of his space, avoid confronting, right? So let's define some terms here together. Okay. So I would want peace, like at all costs, including the cost of my own happiness, the cost of truth, the cost of suppressing feelings and building resentment. And so later in life, right, I began to confront my dad. And in the beginning, I was confronting my dad in anger. And I was blaming, I was judging, right? And those are not usually the highest vibrational spaces to come from, as we talk about loving people unconditionally with boundaries, right? And my dad mistook some of that for me needing to be right, like needing to be right. But it wasn't the need to be right. It was the need instead to live in truth. Now, but my approach to living in truth was off a little bit because there was blame and judgment in the messaging. But it didn't change the intention. So the first place for you to come from in understanding your own self-awareness is where your ego does and doesn't fit in. And as we define ego in this program, right? So it's self-awareness. Where does ego fit in? Ego is the need to be right. Ego is the need to be superior to push others downward. And you go, wait a minute, dude, you throw $250,000 bets left and right. You're always talking about like how effective you are and even, you know, wonderful you are as an influencer communicator. Isn't that ego, Sean? And my answer is no, it's factual. And there's a distinction between you sharing your greatness and optimizing how you do it, right? And having it not be rooted in ego and significance. As distinct from wanting to get the microphone, let's say in an event, and I go to a lot of events and people get the microphone and want their voice heard so they can have attention to make themselves feel better, right? That would be ego. The desire for attention, the need to be significant for the emotional dynamic that significance will give, versus a desire for the microphone, which I advocate enormously here, so you can demonstrate your heroic, unique identity, add value to and serve people. So the distinction between ego in terms of significance, right? Right, let's go with significance, is the intention of the value add for others. Now, people could disagree. Like maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. But what is the intention underneath? And as you become, the outcome for this segment is, as you become self-aware of where your ego is, like as you become self-aware of where your ego is, that is how you begin to remedy how you work 16 hours a day and can feel in flow because you're not doing it to prove something to somebody else. You're not doing it because you need to justify yourself for some need from an internal insecurity. You're not doing it to the suppression of others, harm. All of these things, by the way, very beautiful, wonderful souls do. And I still explore these very questions inside of myself regularly. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Right? That is the road mapping to how you stay in zone action. Final on this point for today. So it's self-awareness is road to self-mastery. Self-mastery, again, is taking zone action, getting yourself to move forward. Had beautiful conversations with Craig this morning. Craig is evolving in his influence mastery, Craig B. And he's also evolving in his influence mastery. He's also evolving in his self-mastery. His belief that he can is rising. His leadership is rising because he's becoming less and less connected. This is my experience of him, and he can tell me I'm wrong. It's fine. Because he's less concerned. One of the things I saw Craig do is create like hierarchy between him and others. Now, as Shannon said last night, we want to make sure that we're appropriately like bringing in the right resources currently to connect with certain people about certain things, but none of you are subservient. there's not a hierarchy of your value in the world as a person. There's also not a hierarchy built on how much money you make. We need to not be oblivious in our ego to the fact that, oh my God, that person did this. That means they know how to do something pretty effectively. I need to learn from them. So we want to be open in our self-awareness to modeling, but not be residing in our ego to say either I'm below or I'm above. Fernando, check in. What are you hearing? What is present for you as we go through this deeper dive than we have yet into self-mastery on a huddle?
Yeah, first of all, I'm grateful. I love the energy today. I believe everyone would attest to the love and inspirational energy that is here. And the word that rings to me, sir, is inclusion. It's humanity. It's value of human effort. Everyone has different skill sets. That is not new news. The truth is that every single person, wherever you are on your scale of mastery, on the Unblinded results formula, you are worthy, you have ability, you have a place and a home here, you are draftable, you deserve a 10 by 10, you deserve to be part of a 10 by 10, and it's all about inclusion. It's about freedom. And that's what you've built here, Sean. That's what our culture is anchored on, is freedom. You don't have to be anywhere, and you can be everywhere. And it's just a beautiful conversation. And I'm glad that we're seeing that here today on Why Wednesday.
Yeah. And I will leave you with this today. Okay. There's a video I've done, and I want to get it posted in the chat or post on the Unblinded Facebook page, where I did an interview with Coach Slazak, my freshman high school football coach. And I know everybody's busy, so I'm not telling you, go watch it today, but put it in your list of things that when you have a little bit of downtime and you're resting, and it's not taking away time blocking from your work during the week, and it's a weekend, or sometime where you're just like, hey, I need to just like shift my energy and learn something and experience something. Instead of throwing on a movie, throw this video on. And it's probably 15 minutes long. And it's my relationship with one of my great confronters and mentors, Coach Slazak. He coached with Coach Woods. He was an assistant wrestling coach. He was our high school freshman football coach, an amazing person. That very season, which I don't talk about in the video, I do talk about breaking my kneecap my freshman year in the video. What I don't talk about on the video is that on the sideline in the championship game of our freshman year, when I was unable to play because I hadn't been able to recover from my broken kneecap and I was heartbroken, I went insanely, volcanically, lovingly, emotionally into being a leader on the sideline in that game. And I am 100% sure I had an impact. I can't tell you what the measure of it was. We won. We did something nobody thought we could possibly do. And I was in my heart. I was galvanizing. I was energizing the kids that weren't playing, everybody. And it was one of the most remarkable experiences of my life. And I was blessed to have a lot of meaningful athletic accomplishments personally and collectively as a team. But that one I contributed from the sideline. One of my teammates who had some significant ego issues started calling me after that day, a couple days later, when we were talking about it. We're all hanging out and having pizza and just like, reminiscing or celebrating still. And he started calling me at the table. He's like, yeah, you're the cheerleader, dude. And I'm like, okay, yeah. He's like, no, you're the cheerleader. Like, you're jumping up and down the sideline, yelling and screaming. He's like, I don't think you should play football next year. I think you should get some pom-poms and be the cheerleader. A couple guys chuckled and laughed. And for the next 6 months, as an attempt to get under my skin, to create harm, to destabilize me, to engage my ego, emotions, misportray, he started calling me the cheerleader. And did it like he was joking. He eventually would tell me, and it hurt and upset. And I'll even go this far. We were out with our friends, and I don't know if you guys ever rang and run, like rang a doorbell and kids run away. We were like walking.
On Callagy. I'm saying that's hilarious.
Yeah. So I wasn't ringing and running. I was on crutches and they were ringing and running, and he was doing it because I was on crutches. Like, how mean is that? Right. And so he's a friend to this day. We played sports together. I love him. And he would eventually tell me about 5 years ago at my house, we're having a barbecue with all of our high school football buddies. He said, you know why I did that? He said, I didn't like you all through high school. And he said, the reason I didn't like you was because I felt like you took my place. Like, before you moved to town, I was the fastest guy than you were. Before you moved to town, I was like the best baseball player amongst the football crew, and then you were. And he said, like, I felt like you took my identity. And he goes, I'm sorry. He said, I'm really, really sorry. He goes, because I really gave you a very hard time, and you were really gracious to me all through high school. And like, I loved you like a brother I hated. And I leave you with this. You are going to experience the same. You are especially going to experience the same as you rise. Sometimes you're going to be challenged by what to do with it. We'll talk more about that here. Simply for today, realize that you are enough, you're everything you need, and you are never-ending growth, master, and process. That every day we will gather here, get ready for our day, and accelerate forward. You, me, us, we are better than no one, and we are less than no one. We are more than no one, and we are less than no one. Eliminate hierarchical dynamics from your nervous system other than to respect the accomplishments, successes, and knowledge and wisdom of others, and learn from it. Love yourself. Unconditionally love everybody with boundaries. And that is the beginning of our journey into the self-mastery of integrity-based human influence. It is why Wednesday, I can say with integrity, I love every single one of you, unconditionally with boundaries. And I hope that I have the same from you. Have a beautiful and incredible day. Thanks.
Now it's time to break through and crush fear and distortion. What is the one zone action step that will help you most today to make more money in less time and with more magic, and contribute value to the Unblinded ecosystem? After you crush it, then head over to our private Facebook community at www.unblindedmovement.com to share your big win for the day. If you feel great about the Unblinded Huddle, please share your win for today and any questions you may have for us, along with a 5-star review so we can reach more like-minded people like you. And if you have not already subscribed, please visit www.unblindedhuddle.com to be part of our live ecosystem audience for each morning huddle so that we can help you see what you don't see about the fun, excitement, and magic of exponentially growing your sales.